We started designing a house ourselves. We got so far along with it.
But we knew we couldn't finish it.
We couldn't get it to work quite like we wanted, and we couldn't get it to look like we wanted.
Tim and Fletcher approached us with a strong design brief. The client wanted something really that was bespoke and different, and I think we've achieved that.
It was great all of a sudden having ideas come from outside, and lots of ideas, and obviously informed ideas.
And feeling like it was possible.
Working with Tim and Fletcher was great because they were so open-minded from the start, willing to consider anything.
I think what is really useful about working with the team is that when it comes to points that could be really challenging, they're there pushing it forward. That was invaluable, really.
The site itself is a classic south-facing site on a gentle gradient down towards the beautiful Selivo, which is the sea inlet.
Your family first arrived here 6 generations ago?
Yeah, our daughters are the 6th generation here. So it was a bit of a dream being able to actually build here, because I'd always grown up with that idea that this would be a lovely spot to live in.
When the timber frames are erected, the structural kit, that is a very exciting moment for every house build, because it's the first time everybody or anybody has ever seen this building in 3 dimensions. A distinctive thing about this project was the parameters of the Croft House grant, and it's not a common thing that we deal with, but it was a really attractive challenge.
And it felt like just another part of the brief. It didn't feel like an additional obstacle. An office space, for example, is something technically you can't have a separate office space, but they've managed to work it in a way that does work within the parameters, and in a way that we wouldn't have thought of.
An element that I think we are very pleased with is how the building flows internally. Having met the brief, which dictated a linear building, it has a simplicity about it. It's also managed to create really interesting spaces inside, where even the corridor with a subtle widening and this pleasing but almost not discernible curve as you go through, so it helps you flow through the house.
So you wake up in the morning and just the light coming into our bedroom from the east is so lovely, and then throughout the day seeing it travel around the front of the house and the light coming in the living room windows at the end of the day, and that's also where the cosiest part of the house is.
We often use a limited palette of materials. This is to bring a visual cohesion throughout the house. In this case we had concrete, accented colour against white walls, and also use of timber to bring that essential feeling of warmth.
Yeah, it felt like we had to make some pretty big choices early on, like the concrete floor.
The concrete floor slab was interesting because you only have one chance, obviously, to pour this beautifully semi-sheened concrete floor.
We'd made that decision and it felt big and a bit scary, but it's worked perfectly.
Also, the fire surround was formed from in situ concrete poured in timber shuttering, and the result being a beautiful tactile surface that's a centre point in the living area. It has this beautiful imprint of the timber boarding all the way down. An appropriate material to be used on this building, an unfinished Siberian larch. It has a visual warmth and it'll weather down to embed in its site.
The house is so transparent in a way. Once you're inside, it's still part of the outside. You can see the sheep all outside, you can see all the action. We lamb just out the back, so we can look out the kitchen window and see lambing taking place.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the heart of the croft now, and it's changing the way we work on the land. We're never going to do this again. We didn't want to just throw something up. We wanted to do something interesting and yet do it right.
I think what we'd take from this project would be that we'd had the opportunity to explore and challenge the idea of what a modern croft house is. Also helping to sustain a small rural settlement such as Selivo, with a family who are continuing the croft life for another generation. I think there is also immense satisfaction of being able to deliver, and if we've done our job well, even exceed our clients' wishes for their new home or project.
So now we're in the house, and we've been here for a whole year, we can really appreciate what an amazing job they did in terms of bringing everything that we wanted together and then giving us a house that is beyond what we could have imagined.